I couldn't be any more fired up about the opportunity to be back with each and every single one of you for this year's Power of Positive Summit. I'm Ben Newman, and today I plan on getting real with each and every single one of you. You see, sometimes what happens is many people believe, well, he's on a Power of Positive Summit. There's no negativity, there's no challenge, there's no adversity, there's no fears for that guy, or there's no fears for any of these speakers. There's no doubts, there's no uncertainties, they just wake up positive. Well, I got a special inside secret for you. That couldn't be any further from the truth. In fact, I believe the opportunity to be with each and every single one of you is a direct result of the fact that I've been shaken to the core in my life personally, and I've been shaken to the core in my life professionally. And I've been blessed to have in my life mentors and coaches who have made the difference to help get me up off that mat of life on the days when I just didn't want to do it. Today we are going to share a story that's going to unveil 3 very powerful words that might just be the difference for you on your journey. And I want to share how these words impacted me on a journey that always brings challenge, always brings adversity. But I've recognized in life how we choose to respond to the adversity and challenge we face determines the story that we write. So here's the story, a little context for you. So during a period of time when maybe people would have looked and said, wow, great things are going on, or you hop on social media and you see Ben was just winning a national championship with the North Dakota State Bison, or Ben was with his friend Tyron Woodley, who is a participant on last year's Power of Positive Summit when he won the world championship in the UFC, welterweight champion of the world, Tyron Woodley. And then the next day, I was giving a keynote in Dallas, Texas. And then the day after that, I was at Jacksonville Jaguars training camp. And then the day after that, I went to Orlando. This past August, not 5 years ago, not 6 years ago, not 10 years ago, this last August, I was in Orlando. And after all of those great things happened, where many people look and say, no doubts, fears, everything's going great, I had a young man in the office that I was at. So it's a financial firm where I do a ton of work. And here's my good buddy Justin. He comes sprinting down the hall. He saw me sitting in an office doing some coaching work. And he says, Ben, have you seen the new Tony Robbins documentary? Have you seen the new Tony Robbins? He's all jacked up about it. I'm like, no, I haven't seen it, but clearly you're very excited about it, so I'm going to have to check it out. He says, make sure you check it out before you get home. All right, so picture this. Let me paint the scene for you. I get to the airport early. I post up at a bar. I order a salad, a glass of water, and I flip open that iPad. And I open up to Tony Robbins' I Am Your Guru on Netflix. I pop it open, I'm watching the movie. And 19 minutes in, Tony Robbins, it's extraordinary. Many of you remember his videos from the summit last year. 19 minutes into the video, in front of 4,000 or 5,000 people, Tony Robbins calls up this young girl from the crowd. It's about at the 19-minute mark. And he calls her up and he asks her the question, what holds you back? And she looks and she says, well, my father did this, my father did that, my father did this, my father did that. And to break it up a little bit, Tony Robbins looks at her and says, did your father ever do anything positive? And she says, yeah, my dad did things that are positive. But then she goes back to, my dad did this, my dad did that, my dad did this, my dad did that. And the next thing you know, Tony Robbins kind of takes this pause and he looks at her and he says, what if you shifted your perspective? What if you recognize that everything that has happened in your life up to this point happened exactly the way that it was supposed to? All the positive and all the negative. And it's given you the strength to recognize you can accomplish anything in your life. I'm watching this video, I'm sitting at the bar, and there are tears rolling down my face. If you remember me from last year, I'm the guy who cries when I watch Extreme Home Makeover. So I don't mind telling you that. I'm transparent. I'm crying. I'm just right in front watching the video, and the bartender's got to be looking at me going, the dude's crying. I haven't even served him a drink. And the reason why the tears were running down my face is because Tony Robbins wasn't just talking to that 19-year-old girl. Tony Robbins was talking to me. If you remember from last year, I shared the story about my mom, the greatest champion of life I've ever known. My mother had this great positive mindset as she battled a disease called amyloidosis, kept a journal where as she was dying before my eyes as a young boy, she would write, beat the statistics, beat the odds, live with the disease that is chronic and fatal, believe in yourself, combat anything, purpose in life. Now let me take a quick pause, a quick audible, because I do so much work in sports, especially football. What is your purpose? Are you connected to your purpose that drives you every day? You see, because my mother was so connected to her purpose, she helped me understand that purpose overtakes your pain. So you see, I shared my mother's story thousands of times on my journey as a speaker. And so many times when I would get finished, maybe you thought it last year, people would say, well, what about your dad? What about your dad? So here I am watching this video. And the reason why I was so emotional is because when I tell you I grew up in a house of high expectation, that is one of the biggest understatements you'll hear this entire year. And I watched that video and I thought of things that had held me back. Here at this point in my life, having achieved some significant goals, some significant dreams, done some really great stuff, we never stop facing fears, doubts, and challenges. Every speaker on this summit, they have them. See, sometimes the conversations we have with those fears and doubts, they're shorter. Limit the amount of time you spend having those conversations. So here I am, I had things in my relationship with my dad that were holding me back, pressing weight down on my shoulders from truly just letting it all go. And I remember thinking to myself watching that video, it is time to just let it go. What holds you back? Are there any doubts, fears, uncertainties that keep you from being positive, that keep you from being the best that you can be? I thought about those experiences with my dad and I said, I now recognize and I'm thankful for everything that happened in every relationship that I've had. But with my dad, I'm so thankful for all the positive and all the negative because it's given me the strength to know that I can make it through anything in life. And it's made me the man that I am today. I'll share with you, it took me a month to pick up the phone to call my father. I finally built up the courage. I called my dad. We're sitting there on the phone. I said, Dad, I got a couple things I want to talk to you about. I said, number one, I want to tell you I'm sorry. I think there have been periods of time in our relationship where maybe I've been too hard on you, and for that, I'm sorry. And the second thing is that I know you and I have been through a lot of negative. We've been through a lot of great positive memories, but there's a lot of negative stuff. And I've decided to just let it all go. And I want to let you know I'm so thankful for you. I'm thankful for everything that has happened exactly the way that it has, because it's made me the man that I am today. I thank you and I love you. There was this long pause. And then my dad said, I think I'm going to have to sit here in my chair for a while. I never thought I would receive a call like that. When I hung up that phone, the weight of the world had been lifted off of my shoulders. To each and every single one of you, if you have those fears, if you have those doubts, if there's something that holds you back, imagine if from this day forward, you took your experience through being part of this summit and you said, I'm just going to let it go. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to stay in my lane. I'm going to be the best that I can be every day. I'm going to set the goal to give my max effort in everything that I do, to be the best that I can be, to look in the mirror at the end of the day and say, I'm not going to let anything hold me back. Because if you can look in the mirror at the end of the day and say, today I gave it my very best, nobody can ever take that away from you, and nobody can ever ask more of you than that. Enjoy the Power of Positive Summit. What a blessing to have the opportunity to be with each and every single one of you once again. Continue to write your story. Rise up on the days that you don't want to do it. The days you feel like there's nothing left in the tank, rise up. Keep fighting the good fight in your life. And if there's any doubts, any uncertainties, continue to go do great things and let it go.